Hey, it's Chuck Dixon back again for Whatcha Watchin, my Monday night attempt to introduce you to some cinema gems you may never have heard of. Some you may have seen and forgotten. Some you may have seen and didn't fully appreciate. But I'm doing something a little different here. Usually I pull these off of the streaming services, but I'm going to yank some movies out here and talk about them that I don't know where you can see them. You can see them at my house. I call it lost cinema. And it's not really lost. These films aren't really forgotten, but they've sort of drifted from memory, or possibly you never heard of them. You know, some obscure, some not, some older, some more recent. But let's get to it. William Freidkin's Sorcerer came out in 1977. Came out in the summer of Star Wars, which is probably why it's completely and utterly forgotten as a film. It was a remake of Wages of Fear, a well-regarded French film. It's well-regarded for a reason. And it follows the same basic plot line, but brings a more dismal, real-world view of it. Plot is simplicity itself. Four ne'er-do-well types, failures in the first world, end up in a third world hellhole with very few prospects, not much work, running out of money. All these guys are on the run from the law, and they got nowhere else to go. They got away, and that's it. They are at the end of the road. But a way out for them comes when an oil rig deep in the jungle. This third world country is supposed to be, I think, Nicaragua. Deep in the jungle, there's an oil fire that has to be put out. And the only thing that's going to put it out is dynamite. And these four characters volunteer for a big payday to drive two trucks loaded with really dodgy crates of dynamite. These things are sweating nitroglycerin, extraordinarily dangerous. The trucks are in no great shape either. These guys actually rebuild these trucks, and they're supposed to drive them into the jungle over the worst roads, worst terrain imaginable, one challenge after another, from revolutionary bandits to nightmarish weather, horrible road conditions, and uncertainty at every turn of the wheel. And they've got to get that dynamite through in order to get the money to get the hell out of this place and back to some sort of civilization, some level of comfort. And Freidkin, he had the power given him by the enormous success of The French Connection and The Exorcist. And he had the trust of the studio to make what is essentially an American art film, in addition to being a thriller. And it was a huge failure for the studio involved. No one went to see it. As I said, it was Star Wars summer. And I happened to catch it at theater during its brief run and was blown away, as you will be if you see this film. It's so perfectly told. So much of the movie is visually driven. Dialogue is practically superfluous to what's going on. This could have been a successful silent film. That's how visually driven it is. And the performances are all excellent from an international cast led by Roy Scheider. But it's this is one you'll think about for a long time after you've seen it. But beautifully photographed, an eerie, a very effective soundtrack by Tangerine Dream. And it's an action thriller with a lot of thought and a lot of heart behind it. Good stuff. Next one up is another film. It's not exactly the feel-good movie of the year. The Rover. It's a post-apocalyptic story. Yeah, we're all tired of these post-apocalyptic stories. But this one has a difference in that it's utterly grounded in reality. Whatever awful thing happened to the world that made society utterly collapse is never explained here. And that's the beauty of it, because it really makes you think, well, this could be 10 years from now if, this crappy thing is happening, or that crappy thing is happening, or this other crappy thing is happening, all come to their logical conclusions. And it's a world where, it's like Road Warrior, but like I say, far more grounded in reality. Guy Pearce is a guy who apparently has lost everything and has just about had it with all of humanity. He's I hesitate to even say anti-hero because he's not even really a hero. He's just trying to survive. His moral compass, he threw it out the window a long time ago. This guy had crossed the double yellow line in the middle of the highway, and he ain't never coming back. Again, as with Sorcerer, the plotline is simplicity itself. His car gets stolen, and he wants it back real bad. And the entire film, as he goes through all the nightmarish things and makes all the bad decisions and does all the terrible things he does to get his car back, you're like, why does he want that piece of crap back? There's nothing special about that car. It's a hunk of junk. Some of the cars he uses to chase it are better than the car that got stolen. What the hell's the deal here? And the payoff is, it's a good one. It's a good one. Along the way, he teams up with a guy who is mentally challenged. That creates a lot of suspense. And the film features one of the most pathetic, saddest use of a catchy pop song I've ever seen on film in my life. It's this great, it's this very catchy. It never became a hit here. Obviously, a big hit in Australia. This catchy pop tune that serves the juxtaposition to just show you how freaking bleak existence has become. Guy Pearce, as always, the guy's terrific. Here's an actor who never phones it in, and it's a good film. Again, not family fare, and definitely not the feel-good movie of the year, but worth checking out. Cops and Robbers from 1974. It's based on a novel by Donald Westlake with a screenplay by Donald Westlake. And it's a heist film, and it's very 70s. This is New York in the 70s, a town, basically facing ruination, financial collapse. And these two cops, played by Joe Bologna and Cliff Gorman, both perfectly cast. It was wonderful chemistry as buddies. And they decide that the perfect crime would be to use their ability and what they know and their guys as uniformed police officers to do a robbery. And what they come up with is really the perfect crime. It's this brilliantly thought out heist film. And what they have to go through with the mafia and everything else, because they know they've got to fence the goods. They're cops. They know how this is done. Dealing with the mafia, dealing with other cops, and all the rest of it. I remember this was at the height of corruption investigations into the NYPD and all the rest of it. And this movie fits perfectly in the sort of moral ennui that we were all experiencing in the 1970s. And it's a great picture of that era in New York City and, general lifestyle. It's a comedy, but there are darker moments in it. And there's a tremendous chase scene through Central Park involving cops, the mafia, bicyclists. I mean, it's good stuff. It's good, solid entertainment. A little like almost B-movie programmer, but definitely worth checking out. I have no idea where you would find it. I wish the streaming services would pick up movies like this, but it might be out there. It's got to be out there somewhere. Just take a look around. Google it. Why not? I was too lazy to. So, Cops and Robbers. Margin Call. Margin Call is it's like a financial thriller. It was made in 2011. Cast led by Kevin Spacey. And it deals with, it's basically the story of Lehman Brothers, the big investment firm, and how it collapsed. And of course, they don't call it Lehman Brothers. This is not a documentary. But what it was about was in 2008, if you lost your job, if you lost your house, if you ran into financial troubles, if you watched your retirement fund shrink to nothing, it was because of the mortgage-backed security, the collapse in the housing market, they called it. But really what it was an enormous scam pulled by the government and Wall Street to sell people all over the world these financial instruments based on mortgages. So these financial instruments were based on the ability of homeowners to pay their mortgages, which that sounds rock solid. Trouble is, the government had urged banks to give out subprime mortgages, which meant no down payment, to people who didn't qualify for them. And the banks went all in. It's not all the government's fault, although they play a big part in this, despite what you may have read. The government, told the banks to do this. The banks went all in. And got people to borrow money way beyond their means. I was buying a house at this time, and I had to resist all of these mortgage companies saying, well, why not borrow more money and take a trip to Europe and buy a new car and buy yourself a new hat, while you're at it. Just don't borrow money for the house. Borrow just a crapper load, a truckload of money. We'll loan it to you at these crazy interest rates. And of course, a lot of people went for that. They borrowed money way above what they could ever pay back. And as that all began to happen, as the cookie crumbled, as the house of cards fell apart, it fell apart quickly. And that's what this movie is about. A risk analysis guy played in a standout role by Stanley Tucci. A risk analysis guy at this company, this fictional company, discovers that the trending trades at this firm are heading toward disaster, that they can't cover these trades anymore. They own too much worthless stock, and it's going to hit them. It's going to hit them hard. And all the other Wall Street firms are going to realize this as well, but this company is the first one to figure out what's coming in the next few weeks. And remember, these events happened in 2008. People ran for president based on this issue. So this is basically takes place over a 24-hour period in the life of this firm, or I should say the death of this firm, as they try to figure out what to do and make all the decisions. This is skillful writing, because I don't understand high finance, but this movie was able to import to me the urgency, the dangers that faced these people, financial dangers, the financial impact, negative financial impact this would have on the world, these decisions that these people were making in their boardrooms and offices. And it's a suspense thriller that doesn't have any car chases, fist fights. Nobody even raises their voice, but you'll be edge of the seat from beginning to end, I promise you. And that's all due to not only the skillful writing, which the writing is amazing, because really they get it all across without boring you with the details. You have enough of an understanding of what's going on to be worried for the characters. And it's also supported by an awesome cast. Kevin Spacey, Stanley Tucci, Jeremy Irons, Demi Moore, Paul Bettany. All of them give absolutely knockout performances to put this across without hysterics, without hyperbole, without hyperdrama, or any of the rest of it. In fact, their cool calmness in some of these scenes actually lend tension to the scenes, because you're like, why aren't they freaking out? And you're freaking out as a viewer, and you're wondering why they aren't. But yeah, a little snapshot of history, just an awesome grown-up movie experience, if you can find it on one of the streaming services. Hey, if you have suggestions for a TV show, a movie you'd like me to review, or you just want to disagree with me, or tell me I'm doing a great job, but whatever reason, contact me at brunobookstore@gmail.com, brunobookstore@gmail.com, for those of you who are only listening to this. And do me a favor, when you're not watching movies and TV on the streaming services, check out ArcTunes, a digital comics service, a new platform. It's free. We have well over 2 million views now. We've only been around for a few months. It's free. Did I mention it's free? It costs nothing. Check it out. There's a lot of genres there: comedy, horror, espionage, tons of superheroes, action, fantasy, whatever floats your boat's going to be there. You're going to find a series that you're going to want to follow in brand new weekly installments. And I got a lot of stuff up there that I've written. And abetted by an international team of artists. And we're having a lot of fun, and we want you to share in it. So check out ArcTunes at archaven.com. And thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see all of you down the road.